Transgender visibility in education is crucial for creating a more inclusive workplace. In this Spotlight interview, we're joined by Samantha West, Commercial Director at VINCI Facilities, and Ryden Ravenwood, Project Manager at JLL, to explore how employers can offer a more supportive environment for transgender people. Ryden, please could you explain a little about your background and how you came to meet Samantha?
Yes, of course, yes. So I work for JLL, and JLL is a very supportive company around diversity and inclusion. And they invited Samantha to come along and do a presentation about her transition journey. I was really keen to dial into it, so I did. I dialed into it and I listened, and a lot of what she was saying really resonated with me. So it sort of stuck with me, and after I left the session I did quite a lot of thinking, and I realized that actually it was resonating with me because I wanted to transition myself. JLL was really supportive about that, and they put me in touch with Samantha, and Samantha very kindly offered me some guidance and advice, and I'm pleased to say that Samantha's now a good friend of mine. So it all started at JLL for me, and through that presentation that Samantha did.
Samantha, how did it make you feel to learn that you'd inspired an industry peer to make a positive change to their life?
Well, it feels amazing, and I feel sort of privileged to have helped Ryden, really. I mean, it was just great to be invited by a JOL to come and speak. I met one of their members of staff at an LGBT meeting, LGBT in property meeting in Manchester, and basically he gave me an invite to come and speak at a lunch and learn type session at JOL's office near Regent Street. And I said yes, of course, because I just wanted to help everywhere I could, because I'd received lots of support at VINCI, and I wanted to try and spread the word about my journey, and to just basically say to people, do you know what, if you want to transition, it's going to be okay. It's not the easiest thing in the world, but it'll be okay. And, you know, you can still hold on to your job, and you can do just as good a job, if not better job, once you've completed your transition. So that was the reason why I went to JOL, to spread the word. And then amazingly, I get a phone call from their HR department saying that somebody up in Norwich wants to speak to you about transition. And I said, well, yeah, okay, of course, I'll help out. And it was Ryden on the phone. Actually, it wasn't Ryden, because he hadn't even chosen his name at that point.
So, true, very true.
Anyway, we got talking, and the rest is history.
Ryden, you've been working from home during the pandemic. Have you found this helpful during your transition, and what were the positives?
Actually, it has, which probably sounds a bit surprising, but for me, going through a number of physical changes, as you do when you're transitioning using hormone therapy, which I am, it meant that I was misgendered a lot less, and I had relative privacy to be able to go through that physical change without people questioning too much what they were seeing, because when I'm on the screen talking to my colleagues, they only see me from the kind of shoulders upwards. So they could see the changes happening in my face, and they could hear the changes from my voice, but it meant that some of the other things that hadn't quite changed at that point weren't visible. So I was misgendered a lot less. So actually, it was quite beneficial for me to be working from home, and I was quite grateful for it.
Samantha, you transitioned while still working in the office. How did you find that, and what were the challenges?
Yes, I had the first day at work scenario where, you know, I drove down the motorway in my dress for the first time to work, and sat in the car park thinking, how the hell is this going to pan out for me? And basically I went in, and, you know, I was really worried about it. Most of the battles in transition are in your own head. It's not about other people per se a lot of the time. So there was this churning going on in my head about it all. but I needn't have worried because everybody was just great when I got in. You know, they're such nice people at VINCI, that I was fine. I mean, having said that though, there were people who were afraid of me and probably afraid to say something that they might get wrong, or they were so there was a bit of avoidance, which for a transgendered person, that can be equally hurtful, the avoidance, because you know you kind of left to one side and you want to engage with everybody really, just as you did before. But I can understand it from the other person's point of view, that they were just a bit worried about making a mistake basically, and they needn't worry because people did make mistakes and did so for a couple of years after, and you know, I just forgave them. You know, it was just, I didn't make a big issue of it. I sort of let them know that they had made a mistake, but I didn't sort of drive it home or get upset about it. It was just one of those things that people had to get used to. The other thing is that to help with everything with my transition, I did everything I possibly could to ensure my appearance was as realistic as possible as a woman. And to that extent, I didn't go to work until I'd actually had facial feminization surgery. I hadn't had anything else at that point. And the main reason for that is that it's the face that everybody sees, and you know, the rest of you're clothed and you can be a woman dressed and it's fine. But that element of it, and when I look back, I think it I think it was, for me, it was the right thing to do, but it's not, you don't need to do that. You should be able to just go as you are, in a whatever state of transition you are, and that's where some people are finding it difficult. And you know, they need to know that they will be embraced and helped, I think. But yeah, so it was quite a difficult journey. And then going through my journey at work, you know, I struggled a little bit with self-confidence, how people received me in terms of my ideas and suggestions, and what they took on board, whether they took me seriously or not. You know, that was playing out in my mind. It wasn't necessarily other people that were just pushing me aside. It was in my head that I wasn't getting listened to. But I think in some circumstances, it was due to other people maybe not listening or not engaging with me fully like they did do before. But you know, now everything is absolutely fine. If you write over time, because everybody had to get used to me. I've been working in that company for like 20 odd years prior to my transition. So, you know, you're bound to have a few difficulties along the way. But now, you know, I'm totally respected and I'm never misgendered. I'm always called by the right name now. And I think the only misdemeanor was a glitch on an IT system using my old name, and that was it. That's all I've had in the last 6 months, and that's just great. I feel totally comfortable, and the new me has totally arrived and is all settled now.
Ryden, what practical steps has your employer taken to support your transition?
I was really keen to help other people understand and to educate people, because reflecting on what Samantha was saying, sometimes it's difficult for people. They don't know how to approach you or what to say to you, and they're terrified of getting it wrong. So I asked for a communication to be sent around the company to introduce the fact that I was transitioning, explain a little bit about what that meant and what people can kind of do to sort of help you. So the communication went out. It was sent out by a very senior person in our company, which was really, I really appreciated that, because it really showed that support and endorsement of my journey. They also set up a support bubble for me. So I had our D&I, diversity inclusion lead, we had our HR lead, I had my director, I had my manager, all checking in on me to make sure I was okay, asking how they could support me. They changed my email address for me when I changed my name legally, and they changed my ID card, which helped me because I could then change my photograph to better reflect the position I was in at that point. They helped communicate with people ahead of some meetings, so they could kind of understand that I was going through the transition. And people did get it wrong sometimes, and I never minded that. I didn't mind people getting it wrong by mistake, if they used the wrong pronoun, if they accidentally called me she or something like that. I would correct them politely, and I think it's okay to get it wrong, as long as you try and improve next time and not do that again. That's really helpful for somebody who's transitioning. But people make mistakes, especially if they've known you for quite a long time. But yeah, the support's been brilliant. They've got policies in place to help and to guide managers if staff come forward and say that they want to transition. So for me, it was almost trying to help educate other people, just as Samantha had educated me, if that makes sense. So the support there's been brilliant, and I've been part of various activities to help support trans people. So yeah, I couldn't really have asked for more, and they repurposed a bathroom to make it gender neutral for me, which was really important because there were points during my early transition where I wasn't really sure which bathroom to use, and a lot of those battles, like Samantha said, are in your head, and for me, it just made it something that I had to think about, which I wouldn't have thought about before. So to have that, gender neutral space that I could use really helped me early on. So there's things like that people can do, practical steps just to help support you. And I've been very blessed that I've had that support.
What is the single thing that employers can do to be more transgender inclusive?
For me, the most important thing is to educate people. So give them a fighting chance to help you. So if you can explain a bit about what transitioning is and some steps that they can take to help you transition, like use the pronouns that you prefer, reassure people that it's okay to ask if they don't know. Um, and then, you kind of give them the tools they need to help support you. So for me, absolutely, it's about educating people, and making the support that they can tap into visible and accessible. So for me, it's absolutely around education.
I agree totally with Ryden. I think our example, in terms of how everything's happened for Ryden, is that it's so important to educate. But I think it's education, but also winning hearts and minds, and having a platform where someone can speak and be visible as a transgender person to explain and ensure understanding is critical. And JLL provided that platform, which allowed me to speak and look how it helped Ryden. I mean, my own personal journey, it was a diversity inclusion meeting amongst a group of directors in VINCI, and someone showing a video with a transgender person transitioning from male to female and still being able to do the same job, as a demonstration of what we should be looking at in VINCI. So I think it's very much education, but it's also a platform where people can speak and sort of win over hearts and minds. I think that's the key thing, and I think that applies to all types of diversity, to be honest. Everybody's got a story, everybody's got a different background, and if everybody understood each other, the world would be a lot better place.
What's your final message to the industry?
I'd just like to say thank you to you for the opportunity to talk about this. Like Samantha was saying, education's key and winning hearts and minds, and you can only do that if you have opportunities like this to help people learn and understand. So thank you very much for that. And I feel really blessed to have been able to share a bit of my journey and also learn from Samantha's experience, and hopefully other companies can help provide the same level of education and platform for others to learn as well.
Yeah, likewise. It's nice to be interviewed like this. It does give us a voice, the transgender community a voice, and it's really important to have that voice in the facilities management community that we're in here. Yeah, I'm really pleased that you've asked us to do this. I think looking ahead into the future, it's really about, transgender people can operate and bring great value to the workplace just like anybody else can, and proving that with delivery of results or capabilities that you have as a transgender person, showing that you're just as good as anybody else and shouldn't be seen in any other way.